Is Antoine Semenyo the best player of the Premier League so far this season? Welcome to Vibes Football. My name is Colby Smith, and today we're going to be doing a roundup of the big news that's been happening this week and a look forward at the weekend's fixtures. We've already had Fulham away at Bournemouth. Antoine Semenyo is looking incredible in that match. I'll also be talking about Amorin and his shaky position there. Previewing the big match of the weekend, which is Liverpool at Stamford Bridge. I'll be talking about Big Ange and his situation, and also summing up my thoughts on the Premier League so far. So let's start with Antoine Semenyo. If you don't have this guy in your Premier League fantasy team, rest in peace, good night, it's over for you. You've missed the boat already. His price has probably already gone up. He's looking incredible. That's why I asked the question, is he the best player so far in the Premier League? The big kind of expected names that we're looking at so far aren't really performing. Salah is not really hitting any kind of heights. Palmer's been injured in and out of the team. Saka also injured, only just starting to become a regular again for Arsenal. Yes, Haaland is banging them in. It's almost boring to talk about Haaland at this point. He's so unbelievably, robotically good. But in terms of the players from the smaller teams, players who you're not really expecting to hit these heights, Semenyo, he has got 6 goals, 3 assists in 7 games. If we were talking about that kind of form for Mo Salah at this point in the season, we'd already be talking about Ballon d'Or. Is this a Ronaldo 08 season? Semenyo is in incredible form. And the goal he scored last night, the first goal he scored last night was Henry-esque of him kind of slowing the ball right down on the kind of left side of the pitch, like waiting for the defenders to kind of come to him and then just like kind of snapping and then beating them both on pace. He goes past 2 defenders down that left side. He takes it all the way to the byline and he scores this audacious finish, the audacity, the cheek, the nerve to even attempt it. And yes, the goalkeeper, I think it's Bernd Leno, should do better. But when you see the angle from behind the goalkeeper through the goalkeeper's legs, there's just a perfect line from the ball between the keeper's legs to the far corner, bottom corner of the goal. And Semenyo just threads it in a beautiful line through the keeper's legs, mugs off like basically half of Fulham's team. The confidence of the character of the player to even go for that when there's like plenty of options in the box to like either cut it back or to chip it into the box. Yeah, he's a player who's in great form right now. He looks amazing. And Bournemouth are flying. They're 1 point behind. They're above Arsenal at this point, actually. They're 1 point behind Liverpool. If Arsenal and Liverpool don't get maximum points this weekend, Bournemouth are right up there with them. And look, are they going to maintain this position for the rest of the league? It's going to be a very, very tough job. They were flying as well at this point last season. I seem to remember, like, before in the first half of the season, they were right up there in the top 4 places. And look, it's incredible to see from a team like Bournemouth. If you look at the kind of ingoings and outgoings they had over the summer, they sold 230 million euros worth of players, bought in around 130 million euros worth of players. So, you know, they're selling more than they're paying, but they seem to be doing fine despite losing like big names like Kirkes. They lost Solanke last year. Their goalkeeper Kepa also went. So yeah, Iraola is doing a great job there. And in terms of managers that are kind of outperforming their squads or like what their squads, you know, in your head should be, he's up there with the kind of the top managers in the league, it looks like for me. In terms of managers that are outperforming their squads, there's him, there's Glasner. We would have said Nuno, but he's gone. So yeah, that brings me on to the next point, which is the managers who look like they are in some serious danger right now. And look, I had Graham Potter up to be the first manager sacked this season. That was my prediction at the beginning of the year. Nuno just beat him by like, I think a week or 2. I'm not even sure if it was that long. So Nuno's gone, Potter's gone, and it looks like Amorin, well, I mean, it looked like Amorin's job has been on the line since since the whole season and the end of last season. And Big Ange, who's only been there for around a month. I don't know if it's even been a month yet. And they've had 5 or 6 games, including European games. And already his own fans are singing, "You're going to get sacked in the morning," which is incredible. They lost to a European team, which I'm not even going to pretend to know the name of this team. I'm going to have to pause the video and Google it to tell you the name of this team that they lost to in the Europa League. So yeah, who's going to go first? Who's going to go first? Who do you think is going to be in the job for longer? Will either of them ride out of this storm? And look, I'm going to pull up Man United's next fixtures here. They have got Sunderland at home this today, depending on when you're watching this video. Then they've got Liverpool away. Then they've got Brighton at home. They've got Forest at home. Forest, Man United. No, they've got Forest away, 1st of November. If either of those managers are still in the job, that could be El Sacico 2025. Saturday, 1st of November. I mean, I can't see either of those managers lasting that. If he loses to Sunderland, it's like, okay, well, it's a no-brainer. Even if he beats Sunderland. I mean, beating Sunderland at home for Man United, if it's got down to that point where your job rests on beating Sunderland at home, I think you're already in the shit. You're already deep in the shit. And after that game, it's the international break. We all know how, like, owners and the board, you know, it's that time where it buys them a little bit of time to kind of make the decision. It gives the squad a little bit of time to get used to the new manager, maybe 1 or 2 training sessions for the non-international players to kind of, you know, a little bit of space. I mean, it's not ideal, but it's better than sacking someone in like the middle of a game week where you've got a game in 3 days and you've just had a game 2 days ago. So yeah, I think Amorin, I mean, it's a must win. It's a must win. And even if he does win, like I said, there's still an opportunity, there's still a chance that they could sack him over the international break. The names, the big 3 names that I kind of talked about are Glasner, Iraola at Bournemouth, and Gareth Southgate. I think all 3 of them, for different reasons, are going to do a better job than Rúben Amorim. Southgate is the one that most Man United fans, you know, are saying, I will stop supporting the club. I mean, well, 6 months ago, they were saying, I'll stop supporting the club if you hire Gareth Southgate. That was the kind of talk before Amorim was hired. After almost a year of Amorim, they've softened. They're kind of saying, I'll take Southgate at this point. And look, Southgate's not a tactical genius, but I think he will bring stability to the club. I think he will bring a togetherness, like you saw with the England. Before Southgate, it was fractured, it was splintered. It was, you know, the media kind of hated England. There was no love from the media towards England. And then it kind of, you saw it in the way that the players were together. They were like, there was more of a community. It was more of a team. It felt like a club. It felt like a club rather than an international of just like individuals. And that's kind of what Man United, I think Man United need that. I don't think they need a crazy tactician. I think they need basic tactics, stable at the back, concede less goals, score 1 or 2 goals a game. You've got the firepower there to outscore most opponents, but you're just not, you know, you need to stabilise the group. The culture needs fixing. I think Southgate could do that. Iraola and Glasner plays, I don't think it's a similar system. It's a similar formation to what Amorim plays, but the system seems a little bit different to me. Glasner's very happy to kind of, from what I've seen of Crystal Palace, they kind of soak up pressure. It's exactly what they did to Liverpool in the last game. Liverpool had, well, actually, that's not even true. Liverpool didn't have more of the chances, but on the break, in the transition, they were waiting. They were happy to let Liverpool have the ball, wait for a mistake, wait for an interception, wait for a transition, hit them on the break. I don't know if Man United are going to be happy with that style of play, which is why I think tactically Iraola is a better fit. It's more energetic. They press high up the pitch. It's fast-paced football. It's exciting football. So technically, Iraola might be the best decision. Do any of those managers want to go to Man United right now? I mean, the money speaks for itself. Money talks, right? Glasner, I mean, it's a step down. It depends. Like, what's Crystal Palace gonna? Maybe he's peaked with Crystal Palace. Maybe he's taken them to the higher heights that they can go. I mean, right now they're sitting 4th in the league. So who knows if he can get them into Europe again? He's got a European competition. He's won a European competition with Frankfurt. Maybe he wants to see out this European adventure. Man United have got no European football this year, and based on current form, even if he turns it around massively, there's still not a guarantee. You know, for their players, they should be getting European football, but who knows? So is that a step down? Same with Bournemouth. They're going to be fighting for a European place, I think. Whether they achieve that, you know, there's so many teams in and around them. So yeah, footballing wise, in terms of recruitment wise, in terms of the football outlook, is Man United a step down? Obviously, Man United's a bigger club. They've got a bigger budget. They've just spent 200 million. I think they've got some great players in that squad, but it's like a career suicide at this point. It's career suicide at this point. Which brings me on to Big Ange. So it looks like Marinakis has played owner suicide by hiring Big Ange. Look, I don't rate Big Ange at all. I know he wins trophies everywhere he goes, but for me, winning trophies in Scotland with Celtic is like basically it's like driving a train. You can't take a wrong turn with a train. It's just like it seems like such an easy job. Obviously, Rangers fans will probably tell me something different, but I just don't rate him. Look what he did to Tottenham. He was great for a little while, and then he won that trophy. But their league form, I feel like a cup run is kind of easier to bungle your way through than the Premier League. Like Tottenham were playing absolute. I mean, who did they? They played like Bodo Glint in the semi-finals last year, or whoever it was in the quarterfinals. You know, they were playing. There was no Champions League teams dropping into that competition. They were basically playing like low-level Premier League teams. At best, probably high-level Championship teams for the majority of that competition. Man United was probably the best team they played, and that was in the final, and Man United were absolutely abysmal. But then when you put him in the Premier League, it was just like, he looked terrible. And this whole thing of like, I don't care about set pieces. You look at Forest, they've conceded a bunch of set pieces already. They look terrible from set pieces. I think the whole fallout between Marinakis and Nuno, they both seem like very big, fiery characters, and there was obviously a clash there. I think Nuno saw that his time was up, and he kind of like jumped ship before he was like pushed off the ship. So was it a mistake to fire him? You don't know what's happened behind closed doors. I think the mistake was hiring Big Ange. I think thinking Big Ange could replicate the cup run that he had with Tottenham with Forest is a push. It's a big push. So yeah, who's going to be sacked first? I think Marinakis is more likely to pull the trigger. He seems like a kind of guy that's just going to be like, boom, you're gone, go. I made a mistake, gone. We tried you, we give it 6 weeks. Let's like cut our losses before we get too deep into this and like give it to someone else. So yeah, very interesting. Man United home at Sunderland, that's a must win. Forest away at Newcastle. That's a tough game. That's a tough game when you're under pressure. So it could be, Newcastle are hot favourites for that one, so Ange could be in. Just like we could see two managers gone in this international break if both of these results go the wrong way for them. So let's talk about the big game this weekend: Liverpool-Chelsea. Both teams in I don't want to say bad run of form. Like Liverpool are top of the league, they've just lost 2 games. Chelsea aren't having a great run of it. I think they're very highly underperforming. It seems like some Chelsea fans are turning on Maresca. I think it's way too early to turn on Maresca. I think despite the amount of transfer activity that Chelsea have done in the last couple of years, they still just don't have... They've got a deep squad, but not in terms of the level of their squad. It just doesn't seem very good. They're like at the back, they just seem like they've got no one. Team news on this one, there's a bunch of injuries for Chelsea on the back line. Tosin, Levi Colwill. They've got no Palmer, they've got no Chalobah, they've got no Delap. Liverpool, no Alisson, Mamardashvili in goal. Ekitike is a doubt, Chiesa is a doubt. I think this game has got a draw written all over it. People are saying it's a must-win for both teams. I think Chelsea need it more in terms of where they're down in the table. They're 8th with 8 points from 6 games. It's not a great position for Chelsea. In terms of, I was kind of tipping Chelsea for 3rd place, really, at the beginning of this season, or at least fighting with City for 3rd place. I think they're going to be tight, but yeah, they're underperforming, but there's a long way to go in the season. The same with Liverpool. A draw at this point, yes, if Arsenal win and Liverpool draw, Arsenal will leapfrog them to the top of the league. That will give a lot of confidence to the Arsenal team and to their fan base. Is it the end of the world? Look, it would be amazing for Liverpool to just walk it like they did last year. For that to happen 2 years in a row, I just can't see it. I can't see it. Arsenal have improved. I think Arteta's got smarter. He's learned from his mistakes. I'll give him that. But yeah, Liverpool don't have a great record at the Brit. And the pressure will be on. Arsenal play at 3 o'clock. This game is at 5:30. So Liverpool could be going out there knowing that they have to win to get back to the top of the table. Maybe that kind of pressure would be like a kick up the arse that they need. I saw Slot's pre-match press conference yesterday, and he was very calm. He wasn't panicking. A lot of what he said was about Liverpool's kind of lack of control in games. He said that at the beginning of last season, kind of teams were underestimating them because they'd lost Klopp. They hadn't really they'd finished, I think, 3rd and 5th in the last 2 seasons. And they had this new kind of... Arne Slot was an unknown entity at this point. He was like another bald Dutch manager. Could he have been the new Ten Hag? And they were underestimating him, and teams were getting at Liverpool. But once they were top of the league, Slot is saying that teams were kind of a little bit more fearful. They were playing a low block. It was harder to break these teams down. and they were scoring a lot of set-piece goals, which was getting them through games. And so far this season, they haven't scored any I think they've scored one with Virgil. I think maybe that's why kind of Wirtz was brought in to be that kind of playmaker, that can, in the tight spaces around the box, can like unlock defenses, where previously we were trying to kind of get Trent into that kind of right channel area to do that kind of creative stuff. And Wirtz isn't firing, and the set pieces aren't working, so Liverpool just aren't really doing much. If they can fix those two things, from what Slot's saying, he thinks, things will be a lot easier, and maybe the spotlight will be taken off of these kind of players like Wirtz, Konate, Isak, where we're expecting big things of them, but they're not quite delivering. If the results turn around, the spotlight will come off these guys. So yeah, interesting. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Liverpool versus Chelsea. Who's going to come out on top there at Stamford Bridge? Big Ange, small Amorin. Are either of them going to make it through to the end of the international break? Are either of them going to make it to Christmas? Get your thoughts in below in the comments, and I will see you on the next one.